Thanks for having me, and it's wonderful listening to everybody's presentations. So let's see, that's a long title for a 10-minute talk, but we'll do our best here. So Optimism and Critical Reflection, Reimagining Music Education. I chose the word reimagining on purpose as the school that I teach at now, Whittle School and Studios in Shenzhen, is a brand new school. We're in our first year of operation, and as part of the orientation and getting everybody's philosophy sort of on the same page, we chose reimagine education as a sort of viewing point to reinvent things in the classroom, or freedom to try something new. So first, let's I'll as a instrumental teacher, or as a music teacher, I have this this battle with myself of this legacy and homage versus reality and relevance, and I'm constantly sort of asking myself what I choose to teach in the classroom is the best way. I'm seeing more conversation between music teachers now about this than I ever had before, which I think is a good thing, even though the catalyst is this very terrible situation that we've all found ourselves to be in. So no one cannot look like a bad guy by saying music education shouldn't be in schools. Of course it should. But why? And I think that music teachers or arts teachers maybe take this for granted and put a little bit against the wall when they have to defend their programs. The situation of distance learning gives us a chance to really imagine what a music classroom might look like if we were to design it without any homage. Taking into account, like, we call ourselves creative arts, but how often do our students have a chance to create? Is it every day, every week, every month? It seems like the right answer is not enough. And somebody had told me that really resonated, and I like to share it with as many people as possible, is the idea of assuming compassion. In that each person really, from their heart, they want to, they're very compassionate about what they want to do, but sometimes we judge them too harshly. So I always need to, if I don't agree with somebody, I assume that they're coming from a place that's very true to themselves, and I try to, helps me see and maybe work through any differences. So yeah, at the bottom of here, I sort of asked myself this as an instrumental teacher, is in how am I modernizing my curriculum, and how am I really using instrumental music to deliver the best musical education and educated experience to my students without just being, falling into the, it was like this, so it should be. Really diving into like a critical theory. And so I found myself in late January having these can versus cannots of what I can do in the classroom and what I can't do. Also, have and have-nots. Because some things that, depending on how technologically, and we've addressed this as well, how technologically connected you are, or your families are, or the children are, depending on their age, some things may not be possible. But I really had to focus on what we can do rather than what we can't do, because I believe they're both infinite. What we can do has not yet been done, but we can do anything. But if we really get stuck on saying, oh, well, we can't have a concert, we can't play flutes in the same universe anymore as anybody else, it can really become this boomerang vortex of negativity, which doesn't really help solve any problems at all. So I'll put you in my situation. So I was on vacation in Japan when I got the email saying, next week we're doing online learning. And so, of course, I needed to return from Japan. So students and staff were scattered across 6 continents, literally. Most of our students are back in China now. However, we still have staff across the world. But maybe more relevantly to me at that time, instruments were scattered across Shenzhen and China. So I was trying to find out what my students could do. Could they play their saxophone at home? Well, no, I'm at my grandma's house in Hubei right now, and we can't leave. So, all right, well, let's find a solution, really. And one pro and a con of starting a new school was that we spent the entire first semester really establishing ourselves. But I can't say this for sure, but I'd imagine that there are certain similarities with new schools that start up. There are issues and solutions that need to be solved for the first time and the only time. And so we were working very hard to get things to work smoothly, and we were looking forward to starting our second semester with some sort of regularity. Well, that didn't happen, but I think something that the staff did really well is that everybody cares, and everybody was so used to working together and jumping at solving problems that we were able to make this switch from, oh, we got to teach online now? Well, all right. Every day is a new day. Every week is a new week and a new challenge. And so we were very tempered to accepting new challenges. So that was something that I think helped us out. But it was a struggle with optimism and maintaining optimism. And I found that sometimes it was easy to be the only voice in the room that had hope or optimism in it, because it was I would check online and it was not good news, mostly bad news, and we can't do this and we can't do this, and what about my band's trip to Disney World? Am I going to get a refund? Stuff like that happening, and I was like, okay, well I'll only try to be critical here if it helps us move forward. And very often I think saying, well, I can't do this and I can't do that doesn't actually help. It helps, it's cathartic, but it doesn't actually help solve problems anymore. So I started having like a designated frustration time. So like if everyone needs to voice their frustrations, but it shouldn't have been while I was trying to solve these problems. So you do everything you can mentally, because we share our emotions and we share our heart with our students. And so if I am depressed and forlorn in the classroom, even though it might be virtual, my students will pick up on that. So we switched from what could have been to what could be yet. And every little bit, every time you use that, even if you really don't want to mean it, it might help somebody else that listens, and that makes all the difference to me. So here's reimagining. We sort of like taking stock of what ingredients students have to succeed, or do anything for that matter. So I had a student who had a brand new student to our school. I've never seen her face to face, and I have to teach her music. And do you have an instrument? No. So I said, why don't you go into your kitchen and see if you can rustle up something musical? And so she ended up filling up glasses of water with different levels of water and making a little scale, playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Hey, that's great. So literally she's cooking up something. And of course I always try and be as hands-off, but it's a magical period of time where I need to be hands-on and have sort of direct guidance to my students, but then knowing when to take my hand off the bicycle and let them start to pedal and go on their own ways. So there were some successes. It was a great time to let students learn how to compose or give them a chance to compose. We started sharing musical moments. We as far as our platform goes, we started with Microsoft Teams, and we still use that. And then we hold online classes with Ring Central, which is a sort of China-based Zoom platform. It works a little bit better than having to send everyone's signal over to the US and then back to here. In the spirit of like starting simple or starting with anything, I sometimes the prompts would be play anything with anything, and I got some very interesting things. Some people who were quite quiet in class, I found out that they actually have been playing the Chinese traditional instrument for the last 7 years. I was like, my goodness, I feel terrible that I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this, but I want to now, and I can. And so I sort of have this mentality here of plant your own seed to the student. I don't know what you want to do musically, but if you plant the seed, we can help grow it together. So they take a step, and then I say, that's great, let's take it another step further. And so there were a few rough drafts, let's say, but on my part, for sure, and it's a reminder to myself to we always tell our students to if you make a mistake, make a big one. Making mistakes part of learning an instrument. It's okay to sound bad. You've been playing trumpet for 3 weeks, but for a teacher to make a mistake, oh man, that hurts. How am I ever going to recover from this? But it sort of it forces us to embody the mentality that we want our students to do. So try something new and fantastic. And luckily, my students are quite patient with me. If I want to try some kind of like new audio setup or streaming something, I'll say, just let me try this out. Let me know if it's working or not working. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but you never know until you try. As people go back to school, it will certainly look different and it will feel different. And this was me at school. This week we had a surprise visit, not a surprise visit, I guess it was planned, but a visit from the Education Bureau, sort of touring our facilities and seeing what we were doing as far as epidemic prevention and changes that we need to be made. People might be wearing masks, and we need to take that as where they're at and move forward and see what we can do beyond that. And this was just a humorous sort of sign in the cafeteria. I understand this. Maybe this is assuming compassion, so I understand what they're trying to do, but it resonated with me slightly humorously as a band director. Do not communicate, but please use gestures. Sure. So thank you for listening. Look forward to some of the questions. I've seen some of them already, but thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.